it's been a while since I've talked about anything Ohio State football related. However, the Big Ten has just made an announcement a couple days ago that has major scheduling ramifications for every Big Ten member, Ohio State obviously included. So starting in 2024, there will be no divisions in the Big Ten football conference schedule. That coincides with the arrival of USC and UCLA. So the current system that is in place with the East and West divisions, where each team in a division plays each other and fills in the gaps in the conference schedule with opponents from the other division, that is going to be blown up, and the schedules for who has to play who is mostly wide open, with the exception of 11 protected games. Now, how that impacts Ohio State is that right now, and this is going to be the case moving forward, Ohio State's only protected matchup year in and year out is against Michigan. That means there will be seasons where Ohio State doesn't play Michigan State, and that means there's going to be seasons where Ohio State doesn't play Penn State. And in fact, since they have released the conference opponents for both 2024 and 2025, we know they will be playing both on the road in 2024, but they will in fact be playing neither in 2025. So in 2025, there's going to be an Ohio State season where both Michigan State and Penn State are not on the schedule. And that is a bit interesting because those are usually pretty exciting matchups. There's pretty good ratings draws usually. I know the argument is with Ohio State that any game is going to pop a rating, and that is true to some extent, but the ones that really churn out a high impact rating, one of the highest ratings of the season, are ones against those marquee opponents like Michigan State can be, like Penn State can be. So it's interesting to see how that's going to work, how they'll fill those gaps in without when Ohio State has a season where they don't play any of those teams. I think it's really interesting that they're playing both in 2024 because the Big Ten is still trying to churn out a future television deal after some small print details that was maybe a bit overlooked under Kevin Warren came to light and has caused some issues with getting that done. So maybe in 2024, they're really trying to front load Ohio State and Michigan State and Ohio State and Penn State to really boost those ratings up in 2024. And in 2025, I think they're hoping that games like Wisconsin and the first time Ohio State plays USC as a Big Ten opponent really helps try to even those ratings out. Now, as far as the Ohio State Buckeyes playing the newcomers to the Big Ten, the Buckeyes will play UCLA on the road in 2024, and they will play USC at home in 2025. So each in the first 2 years of this new system, Ohio State will be playing one of the new Los Angeles market teams that will be joining the Big Ten. Now, this new model is called the Flex Protect Plus, which I think is a bit silly. This could have just been called the new Big Ten football schedule, and I don't think anybody would have cared, but they have to attach some kind of silly name to it, I guess. I think it's more of a marketing thing than anything. But Ohio State also will have two home Big Ten opponents in the next 2 years in 2024 and 2025 in Illinois and Northwestern. I think those are a couple interesting opponents to choose as your first home and home. I would have thought maybe one of, or maybe even both, Michigan State and Penn State would have gotten that, role, but maybe they're saving those two teams for future two game opponents. I'm not sure. But if Illinois can, keep that ball, the momentum that they had from last season, if they can keep that ball rolling, maybe Illinois can step up into a decent contender for an interesting home and home with Ohio State. Who knows? This also has Big Ten championship game effects, where it used to be the winner of the East Division and the winner of the West Division would play. Usually whoever came out of the Big Ten East was vastly superior to whoever came out of the Big Ten West. It usually wasn't really, if the team from the West were to win the Big Ten championship, it would have been a big upset. That's been an issue for the last few years now. Now it's just going to be the top two teams, whoever they are, will play each other in the Big Ten championship, which will probably result in a lot better Big Ten championship games. Although we could see things like Ohio State and Michigan, if they're still the last game, if they're still each other's last game on the last week of the schedule, we could see back-to-back Ohio State-Michigan games, and I'm not quite sure how I feel about that, to be quite honest. I understand that there is some excitement around, maybe one team wins, but they can make some adjustments and get them back, the week or a couple weeks after in the Big Ten championship game. But I do feel like one of the special things about within division rivalries is that you do only get one chance. If you lose to your divisional rival, you have to wait all the way until next season to even try to get back at them. And I do think that is something that's a bit, I think that does kind of take away from that a little bit if you're if you're having rematches of a rivalry game in a conference championship. But overall, for the health of the conference, and that is something I feel like if once it because eventually this will happen. Once it happens, I'll probably get over it pretty quickly. I think it might be more of an idea that I don't like than necessarily the execution. I think that could just be an exciting idea. Whether or not I like the concept of it, I think in time will become just irrelevant. But that is a quick update on some big Big Ten news, even if it isn't the most unexpected thing. This was speculated that this might be what the Big Ten Conference ends up doing with the addition of USC and UCLA, just abandoning divisions altogether. Every team can play each other, and there's going to be some kind of rules about who plays who when, and it's going to be the top 2 teams. That's essentially the major changes. I want to get into some of the specifics of how it might affect future Ohio State schedules down the road. Let me know if you like these changes down in the comments below, if you have a strong feeling about them. Thank you all for watching, if you made it this far into the video, and I will see you at the next one.